good idea, though it's too risky. And if something goes wrong...
Nothing will go wrong. Nothing.
Oh, please calm down. And don't start hitting people here, okay, Mariella? Oh, come on, let's get out of here immediately, Miss Andro.
Do you still think you can fool me?
Whatever...
Hatutaki dawa zako. Bonoko. Hatutaki dawa zako.
Yamada. Father, where are you taking him?
Chiroga.
He needs to see a doctor. A doctor? We are the doctors. I will not have any son of mine betray his ways and follow those of foreigners, not in this land.
What do you know about what they do? You've never taken time to find out. Who am I losing you to?
The medicine man.
What did you just say?
I am getting married to your father.
With their car.
Yes, Kanyanchui, Jibu, Jiboria.
I can't tell you guys everything.
I don't care. Mwanaume ni kujitegemea. He has a new food business now.
Jeb, when you know the father? Father Giptanui of Catholic Church, of course I know him.
No, I am going to the principal's office to solicit your removal from this school. You cannot yell at me like that.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Good morning. You're watching KBC Channel 1 and it is the 20th of January 2022. I'm Regina Manyara. Glad to have you on board. Today is the final day of the BBI hearing that is happening or rather taking place at the Supreme Court. Now yesterday, other than being treated to legal jargon, we also had some moments of laughter as the various lawyers took to outdo each other. Some even couldn't pronounce some of the names of the countries, when they were taken on by the judges to just explain which other countries where the president had taken, the four had been a front runner for what is called a popular initiative. Well, those were some of the light moments, and we're going to be giving you a recap of what happened yesterday, and today being the third and the last day for this particular hearing. So which way forward? And we will be keenly waiting to, understand where we stand in as far as a constitutional amendment is concerned, with the basic structure doctrine being the elephant in the room, so to speak. That being said, we also have an update in regard to the arrest and the subsequent release of businessman cum politician Jimmy Wanjigi, and also some of the take-homes from the Agnes Tirop conference. At a time, when sportsmen and women have come together and said it's a high time to end gender-based violence, especially among the sporting arena in the country. In 2021, the tourism industry incurred a loss of 152 billion shillings in labor, and 1.2 million people lost their jobs in that particular niche. These are some of the takeouts in a report that was released yesterday for the Tourism Performance Report of 2021. That will be coming up in not too long as we tackle those stories that have been making headlines. Now to introduce the rest of the team. Victor.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic morning and good morning from whichever part of the country you are watching us from. It's a cold moment here in Nairobi with rains pounding better part of the city. Welcome to the show. Of course, it's Thursday, and it is Thursday. It's going to be an easy one. Africa Cup of Nations, people were supporting Guinea-Bissau. Yeah. Nigeria had their fair share, 2-0. And of course, the Pharaohs, Egypt, thrashed Sudan 1-0. AFCON is getting sweeter day by day. All right? Karibu sana to the show. My name is Victor Ulo. Steph.
Good morning to you. Well, it's Thursday, and you know, and Thursday it's all about entertainment, the good vibes, all the fun. So you're in the right place. We'll be having some very interesting conversations coming up from the artists in the industry, in the entertainment industry. So you don't want to miss this. This and much more coming up. Thank you for joining us. My name is Stephanie Ayeta.
Well, again, and a beautiful morning to you. As usual, we always appreciate you joining us every day, Monday through Thursday, today being the last day of the week for us as Good Morning Kenya. We also appreciate you again for making time 6:30 all the way to 10 a.m. But for today, given the fact that we still have those ongoing proceedings at the BBI, only means the BBI proceedings at the Supreme Court, it only means that again we'll also be broadcasting that live for you from 8:30 a.m. this morning. So again, we urge you to stay put till the end of the show, because as my colleagues have mentioned, we have a lot in store for you this Thursday morning. Many thanks for making time. I'm Doreen Arange Okelo.
Thank you very much. In a short while, we're going to be looking at those stories that have been making headlines. Just to remind you that we are live in our various social media platforms, including Facebook Live and YouTube. We're streaming live at KBC Channel 1. Our Twitter handle is also open for your feedback. Include where you're watching this particular broadcast from, and it is at KBC Channel 1. Mine is at Ray Manyara. We'll be back in a few to bring you up to speed with those stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. Good morning once again. If you're tuning in, this is KBC Channel 1 and you're watching Good Morning Kenya. Now on to the stories that have been making headlines. Yesterday was day 2 of the BBI appeal, where it has seemed to come out that the basic structure doctrine is what took center stage, a question that all parties never seemed to agree on, and each took their time explaining it. What they believe is correct. Other than that, President Uhuru Kenyatta, through his counsel representing him, said that civil cases cannot be instituted against the president since he has absolute immunity. Serafina Robi has the details of what transpired yesterday at the Supreme Court.
The second day of the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2021 BBI hearing at the Supreme Court kicked off in earnest before a 7-judge bench led by the Chief Justice Martha Koome. President Uhuru Kenyatta, through his lawyers, led by Waweru Gatonya, will kick off the Wednesday session, disputing a decision of the Court of Appeal and High Court that he can be sued on civil matters.
If it were that it was allowed for every Tom, Dick and Harry to file suits against the president, it would distract him from performing the more important duties for running the state. The President of the Republic of Kenya, or the person performing the functions of that office, enjoys absolute immunity from civil proceedings during his term of office in respect of anything done or omitted to be done in the exercise of the powers under the Constitution.
Court of Appeal has said is that while even companies have the right to enjoy this right. The president does not have. Why? Because he vied and was elected. With respect, that is stripping of his rights. With respect, that conclusion is wrong.
The council argues if civil cases are instituted against the president, it will interfere with the preservation of the national security and dignity of the office of the president.
One would wish that it will never come to a point where a court would order the president to make a disclosure. Why did you do this? What are the reasons that made you make this decision?
Activist Isaac Alocher, whose appeal roped in the president in the consolidated cases, agreed that the president can initiate a popular initiative, but he should not use state machinery on the same.
As an individual, can't initiate any amendment to the constitution, no problem. But just don't exercise state authority in the process of so doing. Don't use public funds in so doing. Don't use public facilities in so doing.
On whether the basic structure doctrine applies, different parties will give their opinions, with some seeking for the Supreme Court to clarify.
It is my answer that the basic structure can only be altered through the primary constituent power.
Third appellant Morara Omoke emphasized on the need for separate and distinct referendum questions.
The electoral system should be able to enable simple voting, efficient voting that is seen as transparent and accountable.
I've already given their submissions, including the respondents supporting the first two appellants, who are the Attorney General and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And now we await to see the other respondent, as well as responses to the submissions that have already been made. And then later on, the 7-judge bench will retire to go write the judgment.
A recap of what happened yesterday. We're going to be broadcasting the proceedings live this morning, being day 3. Now, businessman camp politician Jimmy Wanjigi was released by the court until the hearing and determination of the case he had filed against the DCI is heard in February. Wanjigi is facing 6 counts, including conspiracy to commit a felony, forgery of a title deed for a piece of land in Westlands, and altering a false document.
Milimani Law Courts Wednesday morning. Businessman and presidential aspirant Jimmy Wanjigi was brought in to answer to 6 counts of fraud regarding a piece of land in Westlands, Nairobi, after his dramatic arrest on Tuesday.
I'm smiling, I'm not annoyed.
Unknown to the magistrate court where he was scheduled to take plea, an order barring DCI from arresting him and his wife had already been issued at the High Court.
We note that, say, for the 7th accused, whom the IO indicates they confronted yesterday, with the purpose of arresting and availing him in court, all the other accused persons may not be aware that they were required to appear in court today.
Senior Principal Magistrate Bernard Ochoi deferring the plea taking until Wanjigi's case is heard and determined on 9th of February. He stated that the prosecution had confirmed that indeed Wanjigi had obtained an order stopping his arrest and prosecution.
They were not bonded to appear in court at any particular time. I will therefore not issue warrants of arrest for the said accused persons, but I will issue summons for them to appear in court.
Ochoi further directed that Wanjigi co-accused, except for his wife Nzisa, should appear for the mention of the case in January 24th, 2022. After his release, Wanjigi blamed his woes on ODM leader Raila Odinga, claiming his political stand had rattled feathers within the party.
Azimio la umoja ni azimio la nini? Usaliti. Let's start there. I am proposing to continue the ideals of ODM, those that were espoused and you saw in 2017 up until today. That is where we have a difference.
ODM leader Raila Odinga is pledging to deal with historical injustices that the northeastern region has faced, resulting to derailed development in the arid and semi-arid area. He spoke when he met northeastern leaders under the UPIA movement and leaders from Kilifi. Raila is also urging them to sell the Azimio La Umoja movement to the grassroots, as saying he will be an all-inclusive government seeking a unity of purpose for all Kenyans.
The ODM party leader began his day at the Serena Hotel, where he met leaders drawn from the northern Kenya under the UPIA movement led by Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani. Raila urging them to be Azimio La Umoja ambassadors in the north. The leaders who pledged their support for Odinga said since the onset of the handshake, the region has realized significant developments.
Northern Kenya portends the future of this country. It's going to be the next economic frontier of this country. And that's why we want to be partners in exploiting those opportunities for the benefit of the region, but also for the bigger benefit of this country.
We are together. We are all our members who are parliamentary group. We are with you. We are supporting you. I think out of 106, maybe only about 20 who are not with us. But I'm sure ikifika mwezi wa pili wa tatu, now that we have Azimio, which incorporate everybody, I'm sure we will be able to be together with them.
So we know issues of education, issues of infrastructure, issues of livestock, water, health, security are really pertinent issues that we need to deal with in this region. We'll do an affirmative action, and that in terms of admission of students from this region to teacher training colleges and universities, and have them go back and teach in these areas so that children do not suffer in terms of education.
On her part, Isiolo Senator Fatuma Dulo said the region has been in the political court for many years and they want to ensure that they sit in the decision-making table in the next government.
Na tumefanya utafiti wetu, tukakubaliana ya kwamba huyu ndio atakuwa rais wa 5 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya come 9 August 2022. Ukipanga serikali yako, na sisi tunajua hapo ndo tunaenda, lazima sisi kama UPIA tuwe hapo ndani, tupange na wewe, tuendelee kwa siasa.
The former Prime Minister will later meet leaders from Kilifi and Turkana counties at Chungwa House, calling on them to support his presidential bid and ensure majority representation of the party in the next government.
Hata kama hiko candidate 10, mwishowe mtu mmoja peke yake anachaguliwa kama MCA kwa ward. Mmoja ndiye atachaguliwa kama mbunge kwa constituency. Na atakuwa ni mama moja, atakuwa ni senator moja na gavana moja. Hii inamaanisha kwamba wale ambao hawatafaulu si watu wetu. Kwa sababu hata wao sasa hawana kazi. Kazi itakweko. Hata wale ambao hawataweza kuchaguliwa watapata kazi.
The ODM leader also took a swipe at the bottom-up economic model being advanced by Deputy President William Ruto, saying it is not economically viable for the country.
Now, it will be mandatory for every Kenyan above the age of 18 to contribute toward the national cover, that is NHIF, once it becomes law. According to NHIF Chairman Lewis Nganyi, the bill, which awaits the President's signature, will be fully operational by May this year. This as the government says it will harmonize all medical charges across hospitals under the NHIF cover. Zainab Said reports.
Please repeat after me. The national health. The national health.
Under the new amendments, the government intends to incorporate more healthcare providers, thus changing the name from National Hospital Insurance Fund to National Health Insurance Fund.
Ukiambiwa sasa hapa MRI ni shilingi 9,000. Alafu NHIF iwe inalipa shilingi 9,000 ama 8 ama 7. Ni kumaanisha ya kwamba Yule mtu ambaye atakuja kutibiwa hapa ni lazima awe na shilingi 2,000. Kwa hivyo sisi hatutaki hiyo. Tukiwa kama serikali, vile tungetaka ni kama NHIF inalipa 6,000 na hospitali inataka 9,000. Tuseme wacha NHIF ilipe 7,000 na nyinyi mripishe 7,000. Mwananchi akija anatibiwa anaenda nyumbani.
Speaking during the launch of Afya Njema program, a multi-sectoral program spearheaded by the National Council of Churches to curb the increase in non-communicable diseases, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe said the move will also reduce cases of corruption during and after service delivery.
From Honorable Guyai's board and NHIF, they are currently engaged with faith-based and private sector players to reach a consensus about the various charges for the various diseases on various challenges that our people are experiencing.
But it is also not the responsibility of the public to pay, because NCDs are so expensive, nobody can afford it. There is need for insurance companies, and the public insurance is NHIF to push this agenda.
NHIF Chairman Lewis Nguyai said every Kenyan above 18 years and who is yet to join NHIF has a grace period of up to May this year.
You cannot do a business with government if you do not have not only the KRA tax compliance certificate or the NHIF clearance card, and I'm sure very soon it will also be the NSSF clearance services.
Universal, or attaining universal healthcare, is one of the big 4 agenda pillars there under the current government, and questions have been asked about how well equipped in as far as human resource as well as medicine and hospital equipment, especially in government hospitals. Is this particular bill going to change that? We'll be keeping tabs on that. Now, on matters voter registration, a young man in Narok County has taken a special initiative to mobilize the masses to register as voters in the second and final phase of the voter registration by IEBC. The well-decorated with Kenya national flag colors and IEBC messages written all over his body, Alvin Otila, a local artist, hits the streets of Narok town every morning carrying a speaker rallying residents to ensure they take part in the forthcoming general elections.
33-year-old Alvin Otila from Narok County is not a madman. In 2020, he got the attention of President Uhuru Kenyatta, who recognized him for his contribution in sensitizing the public on measures to curb the spread of COVID-19 pandemic.
Ilikuwa ni tarehe 1 Madaraka 2020 chini ya Mzalendo Award. Niko kwa list number 63, Alvin Otila, Kenya Gazette 3827.
Tunaenda Huduma Center kwa sababu IEBC wameleta registration kwa mara ya pili.
More than a year later, Alvin Otila is back on the streets of Narok town, well decorated with the Kenya national flag colors and IEBC messages written all over his body. Otila moves around Narok town and its environs with a speaker, with a mission to ensure the masses register as voters and take part in the next polls.
Ndiposa siku ya leo nimetokea at least watu wangu wa Narok waweze kuja kujua mambo ya registration, mahali watapata hiyo registration, mahali wataweza kuja kutransfer kura zao.
Following the poor turnout in the ongoing second and final phase of enhanced voter registration, Otila is concerned that many young people have not registered as voters.
IBC pia tunaweza sema kidogo hawakupatiana period mzuri ya wananchi kufikiwa na message, na pia hata wao wenyewe hawakupeana ile nafasi ama hawakuweka watu wao kwa ground kufundisha ili wananchi waweze kujua mambo na registration.
Despite being awarded Uzalendo Award by President during the 2020 Madaraka Day celebrations, Otila, who is yet to receive the award, is calling on the government to intervene.
But ukweli ni kuwa hii award haijanifikia, sijapata information yote, ila mimi ningeomba tu serikali na mdhamini yeyote ile tu aweze kuingilia kati, na kama hiyo ni zawadi ilikuwa yangu inifikie.
IEBC targets a fresh 4.5 million new voters in this second and final mass registration exercise. So if you haven't, or you have details you'd want to change ahead of the August elections, well, this is the time to do so. Maendeleo Ya Wanawake organization has committed to help and end gender-based violence and female genital mutilation as part of its resolution in the Vision 2030 agreement. Speaking during the organization's 70-year anniversary, Maendeleo Ya Wanawake organization chairperson Rehab Muir says the organization will also invest in water harvesting projects for women in all the 47 counties.
Wednesday morning, and the National Maendeleo Ya Wanawake organization, national executive and secretariats converged at a hotel in Nairobi to celebrate 70 years since its existence.
Sustainable projects or sustainable activities to see women out of that captivity of dependence syndrome.
We bring everybody from the girl child to the boy child, so that the future generation is brought up together.
The organization highlighting its achievements since it was formed in 1952.
The National Water Harvesting Project trains women on financial literacy, digital literacy, and entrepreneurship. We've been able to organize 3 AGMs. 2019 when we did the documents, 2020 being the landmark when His Excellency officiated our pet project, which is the National Water Harvesting Project.
According to Maendeleo Ya Wanawake organization chairperson Rahab Muir, the organization will focus more on the eradication of practices such as gender-based violence and female genital mutilation, among others, under the Vision 2030.
We want to see family values come back. We may not fix the problems that are already there, but in our own small way, we can engage the country to say, can we have family values?
Among the projects Maendeleo Ya Wanawake has planned for this year is the construction of the second National Maendeleo House GBV Center in Mombasa County.
On that note, we take a quick break. We'll be right back with more news.
You realize you still have a son?
My son passed away.
One of them did, and you're in a position to help the other one out.
There's too much.
It isn't too much at all. The only true road to success is the path you blaze yourself.
Let's pretend that everything you're saying to me, I said to you. Would you do it then? So what's up? You jealous? No.
Is this your first time coming here?
Yeah, this is the first big project I have been given.
Tell me, what did you put in that soup?
Go ahead and take your money, and don't come back.
It's obvious someone must be distracting you.
Mbona kuna mtoto hivi? Bado siwezi kukaa hapa nje na mtoto wangu amefunga huko ndani peke yake.
Siwezi kukuingia wewe. Unifai.
Sasa mwaniangalieni.
Pete gani? Ina thamani. ni ya ukoo.
Tusirudi nyuma kwa mipaka na nchi kufungwa. Tusirudi kwa biashara na shule kufungwa. Kwa kutoweza kukutana. Kwa kutengana na tuwapendao. Tusirudi nyuma.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendelee na maisha vizuri.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge,
pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge,
pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendeleze maisha bora kwa ajili ya wapendao, nchi yetu na usoni wetu. Kwa ajili yetu sisi sote. Pata chanjo. Kaa chonjo. Kuhakikisha nchi yetu na uchumi wetu umestawi katika uwazi. Tusirudi nyuma.
I can't fight the words alone.
Spare me your narratives, Christian.
Baba Felix, naomba kuzungumza nawe kidogo kabla uondoke tafadhali. Baba Felix ameondoka.
Okay.
Nini mbaya na wewe?
Wewe ni mtu mzima anajua vitu na
huku si kwenu mjeni.
Wow. I want to give my parents the respect they deserve. Unanitoka na harusi.
Excuse me.
We will not claim this house in court. And that is my final decision. You understand? You are junior, my friend.
Good morning. This is in the headlines on KBC Channel 1. Now, the 16-year-old boy who was beaten to death over alleged destruction of property belonging to local administrator in Iringa location, Guche South, sub-county, Kisii County, has been buried. The boy is said to have been part of a group of children rounded up and beaten by the suspects in December last year. The suspects have already been arrested. Details of this and other stories from our county's news roundup.
Emotions ran high as the 16-year-old boy was finally buried in Gucha area of Kisii County. Daniel Muriga, an area resident, said that the boy was among a group of children who were rounded up and beaten by the suspects in December last year on suspicion of destruction of property belonging to a local administrator in Iringa location.
Ni mtoto mkarimu, alikuwa anafanya kazi kwa bidii na anajitafutia. Makosa hii yenye walimfanyia, haki hii yetu tunalia.
Area Sub-County Police Commander Samson Lukunga said 9 suspects had already been arrested.
Some of them being border riders, other about 3 erranders, and one national government administrative officer.
Elsewhere, Abubakar Amana, who was being sought by police for allegedly making inflammatory remarks in Lamu last December, surrendered himself to the regional headquarters in Mombasa. The Director of Public Prosecution, Nurdin Haji, had written to the Inspector General of Police, Hilary Mutiambai, to institute investigations over a clip that went viral on social media platforms showing Amana making the remarks.
If he is able to exonerate himself from the allegations, fine. If otherwise, that offense has been disclosed from the investigations on what will be on record, then no action will be taken as it comes.
This coming as residents of Bomet East Bomet Central and parts of Chepalungu are set to benefit from a 2 billion shillings water project through the partnership of Africa Development Bank and the national government.
The project will take a maximum of 18 months. So 18 months, that is 1.5 years, na tutakuwa tukikunywa maji. Umoja wetu ni nguvu wetu.
Meanwhile, youths from Kajiado County are calling on investors to stop fueling politics of animosity ahead of the August general elections. The youth say that there is an emerging trend of mega companies in the county focusing on dividing residents on political grounds.
Tunataka kuongelesha vijana wasiingie katika siasa kama hizo, wasipatikane mahali ambapo pesa ya wananchi inamwagwa ama pesa ya makampuni yanamwagwa ili kuinfluence siasa.
Finally, 3 social groups based in Nairobi, Kiambu and Kajiado counties have emerged as the winners of the LG Electronics Ambassador Challenge that seeks to promote the growth and self-reliance of local communities.
We remain committed to executing social contribution activities that deliver a sustainable growth to local communities as we empower everyone to live the better life that they deserve.
From the counties now, we delve into matters business, where Kenya registered a 53.3% increase in international tourist arrivals in 2021 to 870,465, who earned the country 146 billion shillings compared to 88 billion shillings earned in 2020. Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala hopes the easing of travel restrictions in most of the countries, as well as new tourist source markets such as Mexico, Israel and Iran, would help Kenya net 1 million international tourist arrivals this year. Of the 870,465 international arrivals, 299,802 were on holiday, representing 34% of the total arrivals, while 257,357 traveled to visit family or friends. Another 229,804 visitors jetted in for business and meetings, incentives, exhibitions and conferences, with the niche taking up 26.4% of the arrivals. The 2021 figures are still way below when compared to the country's all-time high record in 2019 of 2,048,834 international arrivals. Jomo Kenyatta International Airport remained the major point of entry for tourists, with 644,194 landings, while Moi International Airport in Mombasa had 48,749 arrivals. The United States remains Kenya's key tourist source market at 136,981, followed by Uganda, Tanzania, the UK that dropped to 4th, and India was 5th.
Africa, Uganda has become number 1, and we know why, because of business. It's not necessarily because of tourism. Tanzania also is because of business, not necessarily on tourism. Somalia is purely visiting, because this is our second country, their second country. Again, Nigeria is interesting here, is because we have a bit of tourism, but now we have increased trade between Kenya and Nigeria.
Visitors from Africa toured Kenya for business, while the rest juggled between leisure and family. In 2021, the tourism industry lost 1.2 million full-time equivalent jobs and 152 billion shillings worth of labor.
So our 2021 in terms of airline passenger flights landing is 70,000 flights we are targeting. In terms of visitor arrivals, I want to believe we are going to surpass over 1 million from 870,000 arrivals that we had.
Kenya hopes easing of travel restrictions, COVID-19 vaccines, as well as new tourist source markets such as Mexico, Australia, Switzerland, the Middle East and Europe would help Kenya net 1 million international tourist arrivals this year. 152 billion shillings lost in as far as labor is concerned in the tourism industry in the previous year. Now, we still keep up with matters business and now focusing on matters of energy. Now, 9 Kenya Power officials were arraigned in court over last week's electricity blackout that affected most parts of the country. Prosecutors told the court that the 9 Kenya Power officials were suspected of failing to take action to prevent or correct vandalism on a high-voltage power line leading to the power outage.
9 senior Kenya Power officials will spend the next 8 days in custody as authorities investigate last week's power blackouts. Prosecutors told the court that the 9 were suspected of failing to take action to prevent or correct vandalism on the high-voltage Kiambere-Embakasi transmission line, leading to the collapse of the 4 towers, which caused the power outage. Even though the prosecutors requested the courts to grant investigators authority to hold the suspect for 21 days as they continue investigations, the court granted police 8 days.
I'm inclined to allow a detention, but not for 21 days, 8 days. Yes, 8 days. That should be sufficient for the IO or the investigating agency to conclude investigations.
There will be a mention on Wednesday to confirm those who will be charged, they'll be charged on Wednesday. Those who will not be charged, this file will be closed and they'll be told we have no evidence against you. So Wednesday is the D-Day to know whether our plans are going to take plea or our plans have been exonerated by the DCI because they have been given 8 days to continue doing the investigation.
The court heard that despite officers manning the Nairobi Expressway alerting the Kenya Power officials of an ongoing vandalism of one of the power line's towers, no action was taken, with the vandalism extending to other towers, culminating to the collapse of the 4 towers that caused a nationwide blackout.
Members of the public, good members of the public, reported alongside AP officers who are protecting the said KPLC facility, reported to this respondents, Your Honor, that there was some vandalism that had occurred and it needed to be corrected. Your Honor, these officers, due to sabotage, negligence, maybe commission of a terrorist act, decided to neglect, not go and look at what the members of the public had to say.
The investigating team said it will procure services of an independent engineering company to give insight of how the towers might have collapsed to aid in prosecution of the 9 officials.
Financial institutions should be, or rather, we have that story also on Matters MSN, where MSMEs are when it comes to our economy. Here's an update on what is being done to ensure that SMEs also make a killing, so to speak, or remain profitable.
The informal sector creates about 90% of new jobs in Kenya. However, investments into the sector has been on a decline, with several small businesses closing shop owing to challenges in accessing capital.
As a sector, we are saying that we will no longer be that group of people that are looked down upon, yet we are carrying the responsibility of this country on our shoulders. So we are asking those people who are in authority, be it the ministry that supports us, that we are under, or the county governments, that time has come for us to speak with one voice.
A very important national meeting because the word MSMEs has become fashionable, and people are now creating and raising funds on behalf of the MSC sector. Then that money is disappearing in between because it cannot be placed the hand where it is. That is why from today we are saying, if you are giving money to the MSC sector, let it be measurable, let it be seen, let the authority be aware, let the sector itself be able to know where the money has gone.
At a stakeholder engagement meeting about a common working strategy, chairpersons of the hawkers, markets, Juakali and border borders called for the fast-tracking of pending laws related to small businesses and operationalization of tools such as the MSME fund.
We need to activate that fund to be able to send support down to the lowest person in this sector. As you know, when COVID struck this country, the hardest hit people were in that space. the bottom of the pyramid.
Being an election year, some financiers are already into the wait-and-see attitude. However, small businesses say they're resilient enough to weather any kind of political storm this season.
If IBC, and I'm going to be asking Bwana Chebukati to consider polling stations, there are enough people in those workstations that don't have to go very far. You go and vote and continue with your work, because as we build the nation 24/7, 365 days.
Now to matters affordable housing, where the government has signed a deal with a developer to put up 4,900 units under this particular agenda in Dandora. Housing Principal Secretary Charles Hinga says the project, which is one of its kind in Kenya, targets the middle-income households keen on easy access to railway stations.
The proposed housing project will be developed around the Dandora railway station, which is among the 10 largest railway stations in the country. Housing Principal Secretary Charles Hinga says the first phase of the 18 billion shilling project is set to break ground by March this year for construction of 1,200 housing units. The project promises easy access to railway commuter services.
This property touches the Dandora station, and so you can get out of your home, hop onto a train, go do your business, go to work, catch a train, come back home.
Hinga says demand for housing in Kenya is increasing and his ministry is working on addressing it.
Every Kenyan can be a homeowner because the mortgages are cheap and we are giving you flexible payment terms. And so I believe that the number of people that are going to take up these houses will actually push the developer to finish them much quicker.
Developers of the project say the units have already been designed with the occupants' needs in mind, providing essential services and other amenities.
We have focused our design for affordable housing such that each Kenyan can be able to live, work and play within the confines of the city.
We think we can complete the work as early as possible, and after that we give a very good project for our client.
The units would be sold at a price of 50,000 shillings per square meter.
To sports, Sekafa champions Vihiga Queens are among nominees who will fight for the Women Sports Team of the Year 2021 award placed during the Soya Awards Gala set for Bukungu Stadium in Kakamega on the 25th of this month. Others are Malkia Strikers, the beach volleyball team, the Kenya Lionesses and the national women's basketball team.
Vihiga Queens are among 5 women teams competing for the Women Team of the Year award during the Soya Awards Gala set for January 25th in Kakamega County. Vihiga Queens had a season to remember after they were crowned the Sekafa champions. The Queens then qualified for the first time ever in the CAF Champions League in Egypt, where they bowed out honorably against big teams, among them River Angels of Nigeria and Malabo Queens from Equatorial Guinea. Also in the nominations is national women volleyball team Malkia Strikers, who were the only African team at the 2020 Olympics in Japan, although they did not win a single match. The women beach volleyball side is also in the nomination list after making history by qualifying for the Summer Games for the first time ever. Also in the roster is national women rugby side Kenya Lionesses, who won the Safari Sevens round robin tournament after finishing unbeaten, thanks to wins over Uganda, Zimbabwe, Titans Academy of South Africa and Kenya Lionesses second string. The national women basketball team, which is ranked 9th in Africa and 71st in the world, is also deservedly in the nominations.
All the best to the teams there. Now, Kenya Motorsport Federation is working round the clock to ensure it delivers another world-class WRC Safari Rally slated for the 23rd to the 26th of June this year in Naivasha. Now, according to the chairman, who doubles up to be the WRC Safari Rally CEO, Phineas Kimathi, more Kenyan drivers will be given a chance to participate in this year's edition.
Kenya Motorsports Federation Chairman Phineas Kimathi, who is also a retired rally driver, hailed FIA for retaining Safari Rally in the WRC calendar until 2026, as this will give more Kenyan drivers an opportunity to compete with the best rally drivers in the world. He insisted that the federation will continue enhancing its greening legacy program during this year's Safari Rally, targeting to plant 18 million trees.
We were the most followed WRC. We scored very highly, so we just have to maintain that standard. We have a few things to improve on, obviously, like traffic management and crowd control. So those are the areas that we'll be working on.
Among the local drivers expected to participate in this year's WRC Safari Rally are the Africa and national champion Carl Flash Tundo, alongside his long-time navigator Tim Jessup. The duo are set to retire from the wheels after 22 years in the rally championship. Makre Kimathi is among the budding Kenyan drivers who will give a second shot at this year's Safari Rally.
We'll try and defend my title, of course. That's my main aim, and try and win my national championship here in Kenya. So we have really a busy year this year, so that's something I'm actually really looking forward to.
Kenya will play host to the 6th leg of the WRC in June, with the first leg set for Monte Carlo between 20th and 23rd of this month, followed by Sweden, Croatia, Portugal and Italy series in February, April, May and June respectively.
Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohammed has said the resolutions made during the Agnes Tirop conference will be implemented immediately, and a meeting will be convened after 100 days to check on the progress of the implementation. Her sentiments came after a 3-day conference and the intense discussions by sports players during the Agnes Tirop conference that was held in Diani, Kwale County.
Their quest to make the sports sector free from GBV and mental health problems immensely witnessed over the years by the sportsmen and women, the Ministry of Sports and stakeholders have undertaken the steps to rectify the vices by coming up with a declaration that will provide a safe haven for the athletes.
Each federation will establish mechanisms that ensure fair selection of athletes, coaches and other technical staff on all their teams. All federations will ensure they prioritize the mental health of athletes by undertaking periodic training and assessment of all the athletes in their respective federation.
Attaining gender equity in sports is a precondition for leveling the playing field and advancing inclusivity in the sports industry.
Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohammed noted that in 100 days, they will converge again to check on the progress of implementation of the resolutions made during the Agnes Tirop conference.
We've agreed that we're all going to meet again in 100 days' time, and that at that time we will take stock of where we are, of how many of the recommendations that Catherine and her colleagues gave us have been implemented or are being implemented.
Speaking on the sidelines, Cricket Kenya Normalization Committee, headed by retired Judge Lady Justice Joyce Olwoch, announced that Cricket Kenya elections will be held on the 26th of February this year at the Moi International Stadium in Kasarani.
Notice of election for office bearers is hereby issued. The elections will be held on Saturday, the 26th of February 2022 at Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani from 9 a.m.
She promised a free and fair elections, while noting that those who were already at the helm should sit out the upcoming elections.
Our provision on transmission is that those who had held office before in cricket are not eligible to vie for another 4 years.
For sports news from Diani, Kwale County, I am Anburu.
Now let's focus on our local sports, where Sofapaka registered their 5th draw of the season in the Kenya Premier League after settling for a barren draw against Kariobangi Sharks on the 14th round league match that was played on Wednesday at Utalii Grounds, Nairobi. Sharks, who occupy the third place in the standings with 25 points after playing 15 league matches, so far have won 7 matches, lost 4 and drawn in 4 matches this season. But Toto Bamungu, on the other side, has registered a win in 5 matches, lost 4 and drew in 5 games.
Dakika za lala salama, Sofapaka ni kama ameridhika na alama moja licha kuwa wao ndio hapo nyumbani siku ya leo. Kwenda kupiga moja pale safi.
Now we cross over to Cameroon, where the country is hosting the Africa Cup of Nations. And yesterday, right here, we gave you what to expect in as far as the matches for Group D. And here are the results. So Egypt was taking on Sudan, and Egypt won 1-0, while Guinea-Bissau was taking on Nigeria, and Nigeria won 2 against Guinea-Bissau. Yesterday, I had said that my teams in that particular games, in as far as those games were concerned, were Nigeria and Egypt. Well, I can confidently say, bet haikuchomeka. Now, talking about today's AFCON matches, Group E at around 7 p.m. East African time, Ivory Coast is going to be squaring it out with Algeria, while Sierra Leone is going to be squaring it out with Guinea-Bissau. Group F, we're going to have Gabon taking on Tunisia, while Mali get to meet Mauritania at 10 p.m. Quick facts, when it comes to Group E, Ivory Coast, Algeria, I expect that is going to be quite an entertaining match, so to speak. Rooting there for Ivory Coast. I'm not too sure about their performance, but now taking you to the Group F match. Tunisia, in as far as the team is concerned, is that Tunisia, 7 of its players have tested positive for COVID-19, so I don't know how they will be handling that. Yesterday also we had some EPL matches where Leicester was squaring it out with Tottenham, and Tottenham won this particular match 3-2, while Manchester United, Viva, we were taking on Brentford, so we won 3-1. Today's Carabao semis are going to be involving Arsenal and Liverpool. You already know where I stand when it comes to matters Arsenal. So those that never walk alone, for today, I'm going to be supporting Liverpool in that match. That's going to be taking place at 10:45 p.m. Tukutane kiwanjani. But for now, we take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be looking at how roads are looking like this Thursday morning. Do keep it right here.
You realize you still have a son?
My son passed away.
One of them did, and you're in a position to help the other one out.
It's too much.
It isn't too much at all. The only true road to success is the path you blaze yourself.
Let's pretend that everything you're saying to me, I said to you. Would you do it then? So what's up? You jealous? No.
Is this your first time coming here?
Yeah, this is the first big project I have been given. Tell me, what did you put in that soup?
Go ahead and take your money, and don't come back.
有一段故事建筑一座城堡，回放进去后就不再打扰。
It's obvious someone must be distracting you.
Mbona kuna mtoto hivi? Badi siwezi kukaa hapa nje na mtoto wangu amefunga huko ndani peke yake.
Siwezi kukuingia wewe. Unifai.
Sasa mwaniangalieni.
Pete gani? Ina thamani. Ni ya ukoo.
today with 1,000 shillings, you can open a fund, a money market fund, an equity fund, a growth fund, and you start investing.
But how do you come up with a plan or goals that are attainable?
One, you have to be a risk taker. Don't think too much about any investment that you want to take on. Jump in, take the risk. As long as you are clear that there is integrity in that investment, not those quick get-rich-quick schemes.
And now you can invest with than 1,000.
Yes, there are, and there are many, many funds now you can choose from, depending on where you want to go. What are your goals? Short-term goals, because the young people want short-term goals first. We've discovered that they don't want long-term.
Good idea, though it's too risky. And if something goes wrong,
nothing will go wrong. Nothing.
Oh, please calm down. And don't start hitting people here, okay, Mariella? Oh, come on, let's get out of here immediately, Miss Andro.
Do you still think you can fool me?
Whatever you want to believe is your problem.
What?
Welcome back. The program time for our fast traffic link this Thursday. And before even I came on air, Regina was just telling us how yesterday she's stuck on traffic along Langata Road from 4 to 9. Nani kwa namwambia na bado wait until that underpass actual construction begins, because it's going to take a total period of 4 years. It's being done in 7 phases. What is currently happening is just the first phase of that construction. Anyway, that's why we are here, to just always keep you up to date with what is happening on most of our major roads, look at the traffic flow in the city and even beyond, try to look at better alternative routes. And today our focus is going to be on what is happening along Juja Road. Not one of those busy roads, simply because in terms of traffic, there's barely any kind of a lot of activities. So let's just try and look at how this section is looking like this morning. And we'd perhaps look at areas around the Pangani intersection. This is as you come to areas of Thika Road, Ngara, the section around Ngara, and also just as you head over to the CBD via the Karioko roundabout area as well. Like I mentioned, not really bad at all on this section, but oftentimes, anytime there's actually heavy kind of traffic on this road, it's just simply because it's one of those roads, just like Jogo Road, whereby there's numerous kinds of estates along this particular stretch, as well as mostly the small and medium scale kind of businesses, which actually a good number of them have encroached into the areas we call the pedestrian walkways. And so sometimes this is what leads to the heavy kind of traffic. But right now there's barely any kind of that. Yes, there's traffic, but at least it's a manageable kind of traffic. And also you can use the Eastleigh First Avenue if you do not want to make with that heavy kind of traffic just before you approach the Pangani intersection. But away from that, also if you're coming from Thika Superhighway, you can still use Pangani area, coming through that intersection via Ngara Road as you head over to Karioko Market. If you are coming to the city center and you do not want again to also make with the heavy traffic on areas around Fig Tree, Ngara area in that section, as well as also Muranga Road, because again also clearly right now there's heavy traffic on that section. So this is how it is looking like this morning. A bit of traffic here and there, but like I mentioned, manageable kind of traffic. And obviously this is specific to that particular lane as you come to the city center, which is again very much obvious. I mean, as you come to the CBD, like I keep mentioning all the time, on most of the roads in the city and even beyond, it's very obvious because of, more early morning activities. So yes, that is how it is looking like this morning on traffic along Juja Road at exactly 35 minutes past 7 a.m.
All right. So, you know, an express SGR from Nairobi to Mombasa or to and fro takes 6 hours. All right. Those who've used SGR. Driving from here to Narok is 2 hours. To Nakuru is 2.5 hours, depending on the traffic flow. From here to my hometown, Oyugi, takes 6 hours. And Regina spent 6 hours where she's supposed to take 15 minutes.
I know.
15 minutes.
I'm pretty sure that was me.
15 minutes drive from here, that's like from here to, okay, Harithuk Road. That's like going to CBD or something?
Yeah, because yesterday I spent literally between 4:30 and 9:50. Actually, yes, 9:15.
That's an SGR almost stopping at Miritini.
And now let me tell you the crazy thing about, leave alone getting out of the CBD.
Yes.
You know, out of the CBD it was fine. Langati Road was moving, no problem, all through Raila Odinga, what we already know is Mbagathi Way and such. That was fine. Now get onto Magadi Road. And the showers, the skies opened. With the showers came chaos. So people started overtaking, overlapping, such that there was a buildup of traffic that those moving from Kiserian, Ngong, coming to the
And
city.
then now you form like 4 lanes.
Now there were 4 lanes headed in one direction.
Wow.
Okay.
No cops in sight. A stretch that takes me 15 minutes,
15 minutes
took me 4 hours, 3 hours.
No, that was 6.
6 hours.
6 hours.
I actually started thinking about my life's decision.
Do you know a flight
Which
from
the guy you
Nairobi?
were saying yesterday, actually.
I was like, you know what? I need to redo a few things.
But do you know, actually, that is why that particular road is on that process of expansion, because of the stretch in which it is. When anytime there's actually rain, and obviously we know the synonymity between rain and traffic, it just has to be slow. And then again, look at how the road is looking like. So this is also why they're expanding it. That's why I began before we did the traffic. And I was telling Regina, if you're thinking about your decision, maybe you need to just rethink first, because I mean, in the next 4 years,
things will be different.
And again, rain won't be stopping. That stretch or that entire road is actually supposed to take 4 years of construction, because they want to expand, come up with the overpass and underpass to ease traffic flow. So that if that's what you're seeing today, it's like those people that live like me in Mombasa Road. Like yesterday, I stuck in traffic just between the stretch of GM to Nyayo in early morning from 5:15 a.m. 25 minutes. Why? Because they were putting up that beam.
Now I'm imagining if they're going to start doing the expansion on Magadi Road and they have not given us an alternative route, that's not a thing I want to endure for the next 4 years.
4 years.
Yesterday I also learned a term, though not very palatable in a full sentence. Like, you see, when the chaos began, there were people on the left and on the right. So if you're on the road, there's someone who wants tunasemanga kwa Kiswahili anataka kukuingia hapo mbele. Then there's another one on this other side, ako kwa kiwanja ya KWS. You see the national park? So they're all wanting to converge in front of you. So one matatu guy tried to pull that. And because if you've been living in those sides, you learn to be a little bit rough, you know? So when he tried, nikasonga mbele. So he had to apply the brakes. So
do you know the amount?
He rolled down the window and said, Madam, shikanisha bus. Then the rest watching edit.
He said, no.
Nilimwambia boss sawa, but hapo winingi. Sawa, wengi hapo nyuma. Because I was tired. And I don't know what happens with the rains. When it starts raining, motorists, pedestrians, we all lose our sanity. Yeah.
Our brains go and live.
I don't know why.
So, I don't know, it's a natural reaction.
That's in Nairobi. You know, a flight from Nairobi to Dubai takes 5 hours. So
please don't make me feel bad more than I am right now.
Been in Dubai.
Nani meambia Regina na bado.
Yeah,
the level of patience. Let me tell you, being stuck in traffic can teach you patience.
Yes.
Especially if you have no option or alternative, you learn patience by force.
Somebody said that if you can live in Nairobi for 5 years without any problem, you've gone through all these hardships, you can live anywhere in the world.
I believe so.
Anywhere in the world.
The best training ground.
Haujafungiwa nyumba, haujapigwa geta, kanjo haja kubeba juju, traffic ndio imekupatia lessons, you can survive anywhere.
That reminds me what is happening on social media, Victor, and it has also found itself on one of the main stories that we had. The issue of power outages. Electricity. I saw yesterday on Twitter, to be specific, that immediately started raining, guys went on switch off KPLC because Watu wasema wameenda kuanua wameenda kuanua stima. I don't know. Kenya Power needs to come out and really explain the correlation between rain and blackouts. To you, Victor.
Yeah, all right. Okay, I will tell you what the Kenya ladies are doing in terms of, in the AFCON, by the way, the Kenya, the female hockey team, what they're doing in the African Cup of Nations. I will give you more details briefly. But on the front page of the Star here, Gachagua best for DP, Kenneth top for Raila. Mathira MP was preferred by 24.9% of respondents and Peter Kenneth by 27.3%. Now, the poll of 3,152 respondents was conducted between January 5th and 15th there. There is just a whole illustration and the figures in terms of percentage on who is taking the lead. And of course, they say that Peter Kenneth is best to deputize Raila Odinga at 27.3% and Rigathi Gachagua at 24.9%. Now, Martha Karua comes at 16.4%. That is to deputize Deputy President William Ruto, Musalia Mudavadi at 10.3%, Kalonzo Musyoka 7.2%, Peter Kenneth 6.5%, Alfred Mutua 4.5%. And lastly, on the side of Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka has 13.2%, followed by Musalia Mudavadi 12.1%, Martha Karua 10.6%, Hassan Joho 4.9%, and lastly Gideon Moi 4.3%. You can take a look at that, and it's also given more details on page 4 and 5. And on to the second page here, don't be cowed to quash BBI annulment, judges told. Harvey says that the president of Kenya is not a pharaoh, but a servant of the people. The Attorney General, through Solicitor General, that is Ken Ogeto, had on Tuesday argued that the court not to quash the verdict and revive the BBI reggae. The state argued that the appellate judges had answered the important questions the wrong way and that they had the wrong, often ambiguous and in some cases contradictory justifications. Today being the third day and the last, of course, for that hearing taking place at the Supreme Court. The judges now will retire to write their ruling. Of course, there's that story of Jimmy Wanjigi, who was also freed there without, where after the court directed the businessman to be released from police custody following the dramatic arrest on Tuesday. And yes, now he's a free man. Something to talk about. Regina, you did the animal census, the wildlife census sometimes last year. I beg your pardon. Excuse me. Now we have got Jumbo, which has delivered two, do we call them calves or babies? Calves, right? Yeah, calves. So there is twin calves in rare birth in Samburu. So according to the conservationist here, they say that it's a rare occurrence, and you can imagine a jumbo giving birth to two calves. So it's from the statistics you had last year, we have got two now, right? We have two. You're talking about the animal census. This particular version of these two calves, Samburu has been termed as a ninth wonder, so to speak. Yes.
Because an elephant cow carries the gestation period is around 18 months. So
that's almost 2 years.
Yes. You can imagine twins. This is a very, very rare occurrence, especially within Samburu. Yeah. And it comes at a time, when conservationists have come out, we say, it's the high time we eased on human-wildlife conflict. Even yesterday when the tourism industry was releasing its performance index, some of the issues that were raised was, the plans that are already underway to have the implementation of the human-wildlife insurance compensation. Now, this will go a long way in also just in increasing tolerance between, especially where humans are concerned. You see, humans, we take up arms against these wild animals, and unfortunately, with the rapid urbanization, we are encroaching on, their animal pathways as well as their budding and nesting areas. So this is a rare occurrence, and I'm sure Magical Kenya, rather the Kenya Tourism Board, is likely to latch onto this to also market Kenya as an ideal tourist destination to just come see where, we give births in double when it comes to, elephants and such.
Absolutely. All right, so in some politics, Gachagua, best for DP Ruto, Kenneth, top for Raila. Gachagua was preferred, of course. I've given more details there. Majority have confidence on IBC, according to a new survey there. And lastly, Azimio partners to field candidates in strongholds to end nomination fiasco. We have got direct nominations, we have got handpicking, and of course we have got what we call universal suffrage. So the yet-to-be-registered Azimio coalition party will zone the country based on party's political strengths. This was revealed yesterday while former Prime Minister Raila Odinga said that they will adopt a hybrid method to identify candidates for his Azimio La Umoja political machine. The ODM boss also disclosed that the yet-to-be-registered Azimio La Umoja party will zone the country based on party's political strengths. So, is it going to be a good thing or a bad thing? Politically speaking, yes. So I told you that Sierra Leone coach, before I get to that, yes. The Kenya female hockey team, and by the way, I played hockey in high school. Number 5 and goalkeeper. Kenya beat Zambia 3-0 to rekindle AFCON title hopes. Kenya women's hockey team dismantled Zambia 3-0 to revive their hopes of sailing to the semi-finals of the African Cup of Nations in Accra, Ghana. Goals from Aurelia Opondo, Flavia Mutiva, and Grace Bwire at the Theodosia Hockey Stadium spearheaded Jacqueline Mwangi's side to a first victory in 2 matches. Makofi to the ladies. Yeah. The ladies.
Over here, still on AFCON, congratulating ladies. What a man can do, a woman can do better. Well, the Rwandan referee makes history as the first woman to officiate at the center of the tournament. We get this on page 51, in case you need details on that. So congratulations to the ladies. Matters politics, we have the Oka factor in Raila Ruto runoff. Well, the presidential runoff is likely this year should One Kenya Alliance field a candidate or have its principals run for State House separately. Also, DP Ruto and Mr. Odinga, who are seen to be the leading presidential aspirants, a few factors such as how Mount Kenya vote goes will determine whether either wins in the first round, and it is predicted that there will be a second runoff should there be low voter turnout in Mount Kenya, and DP is under pressure to replicate Jubilee's performance in the past 2 elections, where victory was secured courtesy of overwhelming voter turnout in Mount Kenya, which was as much as 94% in some counties. So Mount Kenya is quite the determining factor for these 2 parties on how things will pan out. To some other news, the union that is KUPPET wants a 70% pay rise for teachers, and it has threatened to call a strike and disrupt national examinations in March if its members do not get a pay increase of at least 30%. And the Secretary General said teachers want the 2021-2025 non-monetary collective bargaining agreement revised to give them a 30 to 70% salary increase. To some human interest story, a man was awarded, or rather, let's take this one. How safe is your child? House helps pleads guilty to sexually abusing child aged 4 and making video. Well, this is quite a sad story over here. So this house help made a video and sent it to a couple working with the rogue house helps, and cashes in on video clips of children being sexually abused, and the crackdown follows the arrest of a domestic worker, this particular lady who filmed herself having sex with a 4-year-old boy. She then sold the clip to the syndicate. The forensic, later on, this lady sent the video to the parents, and it is being said that she was asking for some money out of it. The forensic analysis show that yes, she sent the video asking the parents for undisclosed amount of money. So she actually pleaded guilty to this crime. So this is sad. Parents should be on the lookout. Even if you have a boy child, the boy child, we have neglected them. So in case you have a young child, and you have left them in the hands of a house help, just make sure to check with them from time to time to make sure that everything is okay. We'll get to more stories in just a bit. Doreen, to you.
All right, so the next school calendar, that is the 2022 school calendar, is set to begin on the last week of April, around April 25th there, and that is why the Teachers Service Commission is set to recruit around 3,000 tutors ahead of that next term. According to this particular report, there are 2,053 vacancies in primary, while secondary learning institutions require an additional of 892 teachers. And the report also further on goes to say the counties whereby most of these tutors will be deployed, this include Kiambu as well as Kakamega County, even as they'll be going ahead to recruit all these 3,000 tutors ahead of the next school term. Even let's talk about the roads and what has been happening when it comes to traffic and thereabout. Again, there's also another report that has been released whereby road accident deaths have now shot up by 32%, and they have given key reasons of this kind of shoot up. Just according to the National Traffic Commander, that is Mary Omari, she revealed that the deaths rose from 201 to 265 as of yesterday. That is actually in this month of January. So beginning 1st of January up until yesterday, that is the statistics. And it shows that pedestrians account for the majority of this number of death cases. Now, when you look at how the state has really been trying to reconstruct most of these roads, and actually any road that has been earmarked for construction, expansion, reconstruction altogether, they're trying to ensure that they put up the non-motorized transport system, which is inclusive of pedestrian walkways as well as cyclist lanes. And the idea is very simple, to try and reduce most of these death cases which are allied to pedestrian, because that only means that when you have designated lanes, then it becomes easier to know which lane is actually for vehicles, which one is for pedestrians, and which one is for cyclists. So that is what that particular report shows. And also to some bit of politics is that Mount Kenya youth bless Kenneth to deputize Raila, and they've actually given reasons as to why they think Peter Kenneth is the best candidate to deputize the former premier. This is perhaps when he wins the 2022 general election. And part of the reasons they've given is that Peter Kenneth has good management skills. Kenneth led the Football Kenya Federation when he was only 28 years old, and when he became MP, his then constituency development funds led nationally. In addition to that, Kenneth is also getting backing from various personnel key in government, and this is why they think it is necessary, or it will be good for him to deputize the former prime minister. That is during this particular general election, if he wins, like I mentioned. And again, we're also keenly following on what has been happening in Lamu. This is after the recent ongoing attacks in that particular county. As of Monday, it was established that given the fact that police had been deployed in various areas in that particular county, schools had now been set to reopen. This is particular to those schools that had been closed because of those ongoing attacks. But much as the schools were reopened and students could go back to school, that is still not happening in that county. And going by this particular article is that there's still a lot of tension in that area, and so parents have resorted to just transfer their students all together to different areas and different counties where they can continue getting their education, as opposed to them learning in that area that is in Lamu County, just because of those recent ongoing attacks. And also, again, as of yesterday, we also established that the same attacks that have been happening in Lamu over the past 2 weeks is exactly what is also happening in Baringo County. And again, police are still launching an investigation to establish the cause of those attacks. And also, clergy is warning on the misuse of youth, and obviously this is just allied to these elections whereby they do not want the youths to be misused. I mean, we've seen quite a lot of that happening in recent times, just what we saw the other weekend during the rally where the DP had in Embakasi, during that particular area in Jacaranda grounds, where there was a lot of commotion here and there. So this is why the clergy is urging the youth not to be misused during this election times. And also in Mombasa County, students quit school due to birth papers. This is birth certificates. These are students either finishing primary or finishing high school who cannot continue with their education, and so they resort to quitting because of some of those papers. And lastly, police probe the mystery of 19 bodies dumped in River Yala. This is actually a story that has been making headlines since Tuesday, and so now police are launching a probe into that into that particular case. And also one of the things that came out is that this is actually from the IG, that is Hilary Mutyambai, and he mentioned that only 19 bodies have been recovered from the river over the last 2 years. This is contrary to what the media has been reporting, as he said that over 20 bodies had been retrieved in the recent past. So that is what he is saying there. And also he is urging the public to see how best they can help the police even as they continue launching these investigations. Regina.
Now I have a copy of the Standard, and the front page is seems repetitive of what we have on the other dailies. You know, the freeing of Jimmy Wanjigi pending a hearing in court by the High Court. Also the issues of more bodies found in Yala and more pain for families, and also that particular, you know, snarl-up that is along the borders owing to, you know, the Kisumu, Busia, and along Malaba and Uganda there over COVID tests. This issue has not been resolved. This follows a directive dated January 6th that indicates that, you know, truck drivers driving into Uganda have to have COVID certificates. So there's a snarl-up happening there, and this has found itself on the front page of the Standard this morning, and also matters of higher pay from Kupet, as well as matters of voter registration that is ongoing. And this is very important at a time, you know, when we're focusing on the general elections come August, where now the Constitution provides that, you know, one must garner at least 50% plus one votes in the first round of victory in the presidential race. So you know why it is very important, especially for the headrunners of the presidential race there. And we already have two who have come out to declare, and it seems that it's going to be a two-horse race, but it is not done yet. Remember, a day in politics is quite a long time. So William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga have begun a spirited drive to ensure that the 4.5 million new voters target by IEBC actually happens. As we come to a close, I want to draw your attention to that issue of, you know, bodies being found in River Yala. It has took the country by storm. Now, according to Nicholas Otike Okoro, who is from Ginga, I don't know how to pronounce that, but Yala, Siaya County, has been doing this, has been retrieving bodies from that particular river for the last 26 years. And this is an apprenticeship that he took on after his dad retired. The dad is currently aged 71 years old, and he says Kenyans have been asking, how does he know? How does this diver get to know that where the bodies are at? So he says, just like my father, a spirit communicates to me in my sleep. So I usually when I wake up in the morning and I have an assignment to retrieve a body that has been in the water for a long time, I dive to that exact location. As you ponder on that, you know, Kenyans have been asking, how does he know exactly where to dive? Well, he's explained there. You can read the excerpt in this particular daily. And just to remind you that we're going to be broadcasting live day 3 of the BBI appeal from the Supreme Court. As we put in the headlines into a cap, or rather bring it to a close, I want you to remember that you can reinvent yourself whenever you want. Life doesn't exactly begin at 40, 30, 60 or 50. The power is in your hands. I'm Regina Manyara. You're watching KBC Channel 1. Thursday is a new Friday, so do keep it right here.
You realize you still have a son?
My son passed away.
One of them did, and you're in a position to help the other one out.
It's too much.
It isn't too much at all. The only true road to success is the path you blaze yourself.
Let's pretend that everything you're saying to me, I said to you. Would you do it then? So what's up? You jealous?
No.
Is this your first time coming here?
Yeah, this is the first big project I have been given.
Tell me, what did you put in that soup?
Go ahead and take your money and don't come back.
有一段故事建筑一座城堡，回放进去后就不再打扰。
Tusirudi nyuma kwa mipaka na nchi kufungwa. Tusirudi kwa biashara na shule kufungwa. Kwa kutoweza kukutana. Kwa kutengana na tuwapendao. Tusirudi nyuma.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendelee na maisha vizuri.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge,
pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge,
pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendeleze maisha bora kwa ajili ya wapendao, nchi yetu na usoni wetu. Kwa ajili yetu sisi sote. Pata chanjo. Kaa chonjo. Kuhakikisha nchi yetu na uchumi wetu umestawi katika uwazi. Tusirudi nyuma.
Yeli au wanijulia hali.
It's obvious someone must be distracting you.
Mbona kuna mtoto hivi? Mimi siwezi kukaa hapa nje na mtoto wangu amefunga huko ndani peke yake.
Siwezi kukuingia wewe. Unifai.
Sasa mwaniangalieni.
Pete gani? Ina thamani. Ni ya ukoo.
Kenyan boy 001
Mavo on the beat.
Nakshi nakshi wangu my baby, unanimaliza ngari ngari, unawaka videdle kwenye kiza na nikidani. Oh my baby, unapendeza, wanawendani dua yangu milele. Naona leo niko nawe kama ruba, mimi nza kuganda kifuani lala kubembeleze kama ya mama nza kulinda. Namshukuru ja kukupata kidoshi, you got a beauty smile we mama wabo.
Tell us who you are, what you do to test Theatrical.
Yeah, my name is Ian Gwagi.
Minataka nikudansie, baby let me dance for you, for you. Nebaridi mindo duve, nikufunike na vuguvugu la mahaba. Unanifanya mimi nilewe, unaniweza kwa penzi lako minakaba. Kote nilisakasaka, wakunifadhi moyo wangu sikupata. Wengi nilitapatapa, wakaucheza moyo toka kama karata. Namshukuru ja kukupata kidoshi, you got a beauty smile we mama wa moto. Wale wa nyuma waliniona boyoyo, lakini kwako manishafika. So let me sing for you, for you, for you, for you. Minataka nikuimbie, baby let me sing for you, for you. Let me dance for you, for you, for you, for you. Minataka nikudansie, baby let me dance for you, for you. So let me sing for you, for you, for you, for you. Minataka nikuimbie, baby let me sing for you, for you. Let me dance for you, for you, for you, for you. Minataka nikudansie, baby let me dance for you, for you. Let me sing for you, let me dance for you, let me sing for you, let me dance, let me sing for you, let me dance for you, let me sing for you, let me dance, let me dance for you.
Welcome back to the program. This is still Good Morning Kenya. If you are just joining us, you're right in time for our fast conversation on our Entertainment Thursday segment. And this morning we want to talk about something a bit different. Poetry, the art that is poetry, with a keen focus on spoken word artistry. And what we just want to find out is that, do we really appreciate this kind of art, perhaps the way we do music or even film? And my guest this morning will be talking to us more about that. I want to start with the organizer himself, that is Ian Gwigi, who is the organizer of Poetry Slam Africa. He will be telling us about what Poetry Slam Africa is all about, what they do when it comes to this particular establishment, and how they have grown the art industry, particularly the spoken word industry. We also have Moses Kipto. He is a spoken word artist. He's actually a contestant in this year's Poetry Slam Africa event. And we also have Timo GK. To my immediate, this is what? This is right. To my immediate right, he is actually the 64th winner. That was last year's PSA's award system. So he won last year, and he also is here to talk to us about poetry as an art as a whole. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making it to the show this Thursday morning.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you for having us.
All right. Tuanze kwanza na we mshindi before we go to the organizer, and also we come to you as a contestant. Yeah. You actually won last year's event. Umekuwa PSA for how long, and how has it been just being in such kind of an establishment that is there to push poetry forward na appreciate wale wasanii wenye wanafanya poetry?
So hola, again I'm Timo GK. Nothing to do with the government. Just to come out clean.
Jina tu ya usanii.
Ni shares za wazazi wangu. For anyone who doesn't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Gathoni and then kifanya. So the whole idea inakuanga mimi and then my source. That's the whole idea of the name. So nimekuwa I participated the first time nili interact now. Nimekuwa niki take part in it for a very long time, but the first time nili participate ilikuwa 2019, yeah. Ilikuwa 2018 and then 2019. 2019 nili participate and then ikakuwa number 4. It was a learning chance, it was a learning curve ingine kubwa sana. I got to interact with creative skills from kutoka workshops, yeah, za venye unafaa kuperform, hadi to interact, hadi venye unafaa kujiconduct kama msanii, how you should handle yourself up to the branding. And then I participated again last year. When I participated that time, there's a poet anaitwa yours truly, KK. He won nilikuwa number 4 and then tukaingia chini ya maji kidogo, corona happened and then tukarudi 2021 and that's the time yenye nichukua hiyo title.
Okay, fair enough. Kipto,
Yes.
when the contestants kwa this year's PSA and someone would want to understand, especially kwanza wale maspoken word wenye wako huko nje na hata hawajui that there's actually an establishment ya kusupport poetry. How did you find yourself as a contestant for this year's Poetry Slam Africa?
So actually, if I were to like drop a backstory, all the poetic, let me call them legends, I look up to, nilikuwa nasikia wamko slam, like ni slam champs. So I used to wonder what's this slam thing. But then I came to come a few years later. I came to meet Ian from Creative Spills, and then we got to know each other. And then that's when he introduced me to the concept of Slam Africa through the workshops that we used to have, just as Team WRC has said. And so basically kuingia, it goes through a couple of ni kama, for lack of a better word, mchujo. So you guys like submit your pieces and then they go through them and then they'll select a couple few wenye pia watakuwa vetted, and then of the finalists they go to the main stage and that's where they compete for the title, you know, the Slam Champ.
So how many of you mulikuwa pale ndio sasa wewe at least ufolikuwa amongst the contestants who will be competing on Saturday?
Well, I don't know the exact number to be precise, but I just know it's a lot.
It's a lot.
I think it's a lot.
And lucky enough, you actually amongst the one who will be competing on Saturday.
Just grace, you know.
Grace,
it's
not
my
even
first
luck.
time, but I just feel so gassed up, you know. It's an awesome experience.
All right. Ian,
Yes.
you are the organizer of Poetry Slam Africa. This is actually an establishment that began in 2008. It is 2022. That's around 14 years therein. How would you rate the growth of even the contestants that have been joining in, the kind of award systems you've been having when it comes to appreciating poetry as a whole?
Okay. So, the growth of spoken word poetry in this country has been tremendous over the past, I'd say 14 years, 16 thereabouts. But since we started the slam in 2008, there's been so much in terms of growth. There's been so many artists who've come from that program. You know, 2 of Had the Band's members are slam champions as well. There's some news anchors who are also members of Slam Africa. They've gone through the process and they've won. And wherever they are, they're using their poetry in whatever professional fields that they're in. And then in terms of just having a general movement, we have so many spoken word artists that have come as a result of, you know, the spoken word and the popularity of it as a pop art form in the country at the moment. And that for us has been really, really good, because there's so many more people who are looking up to the platforms. They want to participate, they want to compete, they want to grow themselves as artists and probably even earn a living from it. Yeah. So and then now in terms of the journey has really been arduous. We've had the event started in 2008 at Das Ethiopian restaurant, started by Imani Omera and Buddha Blaze, who's an arts promoter. And then it has been handed down to the community over time until it got to us around 2014. And any poets who you would name, you know, talk about Teardrops, talk about Mufasa, any of the main poets that you know in the country have been a part of it, and they are probably slam champions. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Mufasa and even Teardrops, actually there was a conversation I was watching, and Mufasa was saying that one of the challenges that you know, poetry faces is the sponsorship, and he was giving an example of sometimes you would want that sponsor to come and perhaps either finance your events or something of the sort, but given that poetry is more of truth and consciousness, and sometimes you might want to speak against them, not in a bad light, but just to highlight some of the things that they are doing which may not be in good taste, then it becomes a bit difficult. When you look at how the growth of PSA has been like, would you say that this has been one of the biggest issues you've had in the establishment when it comes to financing, sponsorship and the likes?
So when you have a conversation with if you come to Nairobi as a foreigner or maybe like as a guest, you would more likely be able to know about Nairobi from a spoken word artist than if you talked, say, to a random person on the street or even a musician or any other person, even a government official. That is because spoken word poetry in itself reflects life, general life, and if you're reflecting life, there's generally going to be a lot of hard truths that include some of the conversations that you're mentioning. You know, people will point at ills, you know, that's a poet's work, you know, pointing at ills and stopping the world going to sleep. And that is where you find yourself having a really big problem when you're looking for financing for the project, because some people might find it a little abrasive, you speaking against what they do or what they stand for, and that is usually the problem. And then also people with very conservative stands might not necessarily be able to see poetry as an avenue that can be able to speak maybe to people. Some people actually feel that through this poetry certain agendas are usually channeled, and it's easy for someone to be able to talk to these poets and convince them to do something that might not necessarily be a good thing. So I feel, yeah, the challenges for sponsorship and funding come as a result of the content, the influence that spoken word poetry has, and how it speaks to the soul. Yeah.
So it's actually a very big challenge. All right, let me come to you, Tim. You know, just borrowing from what Ian is saying, that clearly poetry is about hard truth. Ni kitu iko kwa conscious yako, and sometimes you can't control the truth. When you look at your pieces, and obviously utatufanyia one of them, what would you say is your biggest inspiration in how you make your pieces?
My biggest inspiration would be people, yeah? I am a lover of people. I'm a lover of listening to people, listening to their stories, and just watching people at any given time, yeah? And then, ukiangalia, Kenya napendanga about poetry, I love provoking people. I love it. Yani, if nikuja hapa hivi niseme piece, and then I make you utoke na hiyo swali moja, it doesn't matter, sitaki maswali tano mimi. Mimi nataka tu jiulize hiyo swali moja. Na si ati mimi nitakujibu, I can't answer you that.
Ni wewe ujijibu.
Yeah, I want people to think. That's what my poetry is about. When I provoke your thought, mara mingi watu wanachukulianga provocation kama something bad, but it's not really. When I provoke you, I make you think about, ukiwa provoked unatolewa comfort zone uliko umejiweka, yeah? That's my whole purpose, that's my whole goal with my poetry. And looking back, I've had some very good pieces, and I've made a lot of people, I've provoked a lot of people, I've given people a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas to think about. That's my whole goal, nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. I provoke you, you think, done.
You have given people a lot of ideas to think about. We want to take a very quick break. When you come back, you'll also give us ideas to think about, because that's what your poetry is all about. All right, so let's take that break. We come back to continue the conversation. Stay with us.
Today, with 1,000 shillings, you can open a fund, a money market fund, an equity fund, a growth fund, and you start investing.
But how do you come up with a plan or goals that are attainable?
One, you have to be a risk taker. Don't think too much about any investment that you want to take on. Jump in, take the risk. As long as you are clear that there is integrity in that investment, not those quick get rich quick schemes.
And now you can invest within 1,000.
Yes, there are. And there are many, many funds now you can choose from, depending on where you want to go. What are your goals? Short-term goals, because the young people want short-term goals first. We've discovered that they don't want long-term.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Big man's gonna be watching. The champ's gonna be watching. And we're gonna dig your grave.
في فؤادي والله ليس سواك يا لقلبي يدوم في هواك.
Watu wangapi walioa wakiwa ni matajiri, baada ya kuoa wakaishi wakafirisika, na ni watu wangapi walioa hawana lolote, baada ya kuoa Mwenyezi Mungu akawatajirisha. Hizo zote ni kadari za Allah tabaraka wa taala.
Hivyo basi ningependa kumwomba Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala atuwezeshe kuwa watu wenye kusikiza na kufuatiliza na vitendo vyema na kuepukana na makatazo yake biiznillah ta'ala.
Sallu yazid ash-shuq sirar la habibi bi salam wal mawla bi zid as-salah sallu alayhi afdal salah sallu.
Welcome back to the program and many thanks for staying with us. We continue with our conversation, and before we went on break, Timo alikuwa ametuambia akona thought-provoking piece. Let's just listen to what you have for us.
Hola again. Timo JK hapa kwa mtandao zote na YouTube. Yeah. So hii piece venye utaichukulia ni shauri yako, okay? Yeah. I leave that in your hands and in your head. All Shaitan, Lucifer, Beelzebub, the devil, Goma, Shetani, Ibilisi. Miaka mingi Shetani amekuwa shouted at, ametemwa na kukanyangiliwa na midomo ya detractors, na hata mara moja hajai talk back. Kwa protracted persecutions remain a gentleman, while those he support rave and have fun. Ako kizimbani, anaangalia courtroom na msingizi alikot doom, akaigroom, akaiweka kwa forced marriage na dunia. Saa kumejaa gloom, existence imekuwa kupuliza gunia, kila binadamu ana broom, akijaribu kufagia hali dunia, dhambi hakujitakia, all around wote wanalia. The devil aliwatokelezea ka Nike, he made them do it, the blame lay square on him. Yule mse alicheat na mpango wa kando, yule mse aliforce jendito zake kwa mdomo wa mtoto, yule mwanafunzi mzalendo aliingia exam room na Mkenya, yule mlevi aliua watu 5 barabarani juu DUI. Wote wanasema Shetani ndo aliwapea motisha ku DIY. The devil wears Prada. You have to look good when you are the personification of evil in every religion, culture, theology, mythology, psychiatry, art and literature. You have to look good ukitemtoa tu na material possessions. You have to look good kawe ni God's nemesis toka Genesis. You have to look good when you are a fallen angel and your broken wings carry you from soul to soul. You, the prince of darkness. Kiingia kiza kinatanda, unaficha nightmares kwa vitanda. hela umejenga vibanda, toacha chemba za kufanya soils Uganda. The empty souls atazichukua na kandarasi, atazikandamiza kanda mnasi, azileweshe after kukanda mnazi. At the moment akona furaha, then akona simanzi. Akona anger, then akona simanzi. Akona mood swings na simanzi. If unataka kusikia piece yote, tupatane Saturday Kenya National Theatre from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Sasa naifanya with a full band.
Ati akona nini na simanzi?
Akona mood swings na simanzi.
Well, that is the 64th Slam African champion.
Na by the way,
ameangusha piece. Whatever you do with that one, by the way, amesema, it's up to you.
Alafu, your piece ni 8 minutes. Nimewapea 2 minutes. You can only imagine what happens for the rest of the 6 minutes.
That's why they have to go to KNT on Saturday.
That's why you have to be there on Saturday. Yes.
All right. Yeah. Let's listen to also Kipto because he is a contestant on this year's Poetry Slam Africa. Before we get to your piece, what is your inspiration as a spoken word artist?
So basically, I love writing what I see, what I feel, what basically inspires me, because we get everything from looking around us. So most of the pieces I write, mostly they either tell stories or I just tell you a deeper perspective of something that we basically observe. Because most people just see stuff, but they don't, actually see stuff. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
So they see like with their naked eyes.
Yeah.
They don't see with their inner eyes.
So I try to make them see deeper. Like,
they see beyond what they can see.
See what? Yeah. Just you can look at a picture of Mona Lisa and just be like, that's a beautiful picture. But I'll try to make you see, deeper than that Mona Lisa, her thoughts, her words, what she's looking at, the whole thing. Yes.
Okay. Make us see deeper then. Drop something.
Okay, so I'm about to serve you a slice of greatness. How about to see those hands up? Hands up for all who die through the night fighting for what is right. Hands up for zile familia hulala njaa juu breadwinner had their last breath in Somalia. Hawezi afford a KDF, it's their right. Hands up kama unasumbuliwa na landlord juu uko landless and you have no might. Hands up kama unasumbuliwa na landlord tena juu uko landless and you have no might. Come on, I'll just highlight your plight. Now hands up for our poor IDPs. Hands up for our DP. Hands up kona tuchocha na filters kwa DP. Hands up for those ladies with crop tops. Hands up for wale vijana wana tarmac na si contractors. Hands up for those cops forced to take bribes because they just have to feed the bride. It's not that their actions are justified, but last time I checked, justice still is just another word, and family is no longer an F word. Hands up, watch my tears drop. Faule Mtoi alikuwa conductor instead ya star yet he was destined for this stage. Hands up if Mufasa's pieces have snapped you back to reality and you feel the sorrow in my rage. Hands up if I'm coming out so raw at my young age. Hands up if I should stop wasting time on this stage. I'm guessing there's no hands up, so hands up kona feel car target ile design society na kulenga. Hands up kama daily ukihustle CBD ni makanjo tu wanakulenga. Hands up kama una feel ni kama crash na kucheza. Hands up kama society mazee imekulenga. Hands up, get down on your knees, tell the Lord of your plight. Hands up, tell the Lord the world is not right. It's not right. It's hard to see these small coffins being made. It's not right. It's not right to watch our sisters being stripped by the moral police. It's not right to see our brothers walking with dead dreams. It's not right. Maybe that's the reason why wanava Air Max na high heels ndo at least wakaribie Mungu. Maybe that's why wanapenda kulala cause kuface reality ni so tough. Usingizi ni kama drug. Maybe they have no shoulders to lean on. That's why kwa streets wakipatana ni kupigana tu mahug. Now hands up. Shoot me if I'm wrong or snap if I'm right. Thank you.
In poetry, we don't do this. We do this.
We do this, yes.
But what's with the rhyme and just the flow? I realized that it's actually, a thing. Is it like a thing in spoken word, or is just part of when you're composing your pieces? You just have to have that. Let me get your thought, Kipto, then I'll get yours.
I guess it just comes. I don't know. It just write it, and then it just has a certain flow to it.
Okay.
So there's a way you write with. Personally, for me, I write with, how I feel. But then there's the other aspect of, poetry in the books. Now, just bring the rhymes in to bring the flow and everything. Yeah.
All right. Is it like the same for you? We've got a different concept.
Me naweza sema hivi, first of all, that's the only difference ya sisi na mtu akisoma speech.
Okay.
Spoken word basically ni spoken word unaongea, yeah? Unaongea, but wewe ni poet, at the same time you have to be crafty with your words, you have to be crafty na venye unazisema. So ukikosa kuweka hiyo rhythm, ukikosa kuweka hizo rhymes pale, ukikosa kuweka hiyo flow, unaongea tu. Yeah? And ukiongea tu, you can't talk for 5 continuous minutes bila kupoteza attention ya mtu. But if I talk for 1 minute, flow for 1 minute, give you a rhythm for another 1 minute, and then nikuwe craft with my words for another 1 minute, nimemaliza my 5 minutes, na umenisikiza all through, even without realizing.
So it's actually a spoken word.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Ian, let me come to you. When you look at how we perhaps hold the spoken word artistry in this country, or poetry as a whole, do you feel like we appreciate it enough? I mean, kuna event happen on Saturday, but do Kenyans even know about it? When you look at how we perhaps hold music, or even how we've begun to hold in high regard film, do you feel it's the same for poetry? And if not, what do we need to do as Kenyans, as a government, as a society, to begin appreciating this side of art that is poetry?
Okay. So for me, in my experience, sometimes I would find myself in festivals and events in other places, and you would have conversations with the people who have come, who are in attendance, and they'd be like, we applied to the government and they gave us the grant because as cultural actors pushing or purveyors of art from that particular country, so they got support to be able to travel and take their cultures to these different places. This is something we have not necessarily seen here, and it's something that we would really love to see, because the art is really, really rich. Spoken word in itself is able to communicate people's deepest fears, people's celebration of milestones and stuff. It is one of those art forms that can be able to communicate beyond what music can do, and also what other forms of art can be able to do. Over the years, I have noticed that there's been a tremendous improvement in terms of like the content that is coming out, and also the way spoken word in general is treated. In the beginning, you'd have spoken word artists being put in the middle of events as fillers. They just show up, and then because you need someone to be able to give you that interlude, you put in a poet to do their 2-minute piece, and then they move on. But right now, we have gotten to a point where we are seeing poets headline events. Sometimes they are on the same stage and on the same platforms with like major artists, and you will see them hold their own, or even sometimes upstage them, which is something that I feel is good for the art form. And the growth in itself is able to just give people more, because even in schools, you used to have a lot of people have very negative perception and very negative attitude towards poetry in general. If you ask anyone, they will tell you poetry tortured them in high school. So we are changing that by just getting people to appreciate it more. Of course, we've had events where we've had like 1,000 people show up, 700, 500, 300. And sometimes we've had double shows, on the same thing, which is something we used to see only with theater. So we're just hoping we can be able to get even bigger venues, because sometimes you are limited by the venue, so you just do an event to the scale that is possible. But with more support and also with bigger spaces, I am sure we'll be able to push this art form to levels that will be of benefit to the purveyors and practitioners of the art form.
All right, well said. And very, very quickly, since we're out of time, when is this event happening, what time, and where?
All right, so the event is happening on Saturday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Kenya National Theatre. It's going to see artists come from different countries within the region. We have South Sudan, we have Uganda, we have Tanzania represented, we have Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and of course Kenya. So it's going to be a celebration of the spoken word poetry art form, and we hope to see all of you there for the event.
Okay, well said, well said. So I have been speaking to Ian Gwagi, who is the organizer of the Poetry Slam Africa, just as is mentioned, it's taking place this Saturday at KNT. I've also been speaking to Moses Kipto. He is one of the contestants of this year's Slam Africa 2022, as well as Timo GK, who is the 64th winner of the Poetry Slam Africa event, which happened last year. So this has just been a conversation about poetry, the art, trying to understand what we can do as a country, community, society, and even from a larger perspective when it comes to appreciating this side of art that is poetry. Many thanks for making time, but Good Morning Kenya is not yet done. Steph is coming in up next with another interesting conversation, so stay put. I'm Doreen Arange Okelo. Good morning.
Good morning, welcome back. This is still Good Morning Kenya. Just in case you're joining us, we are still having our conversation. We're just from having an interesting poetry conversation with Doreen. Now we move on to something similar, a different type of art. This is about music, and we have a great artist in studio to talk to us about his music journey and such things. So talk to us at KBC Channel 1 using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. You can also get me at Stephanie Ayeta on Twitter, just in case you have some questions or opinions during as you join in the conversation. So now let's karibisha our mgeni here. So welcome, Msela.
Yeah, Bwana Yesu asifiwe.
Amen.
Naitwa Msela Classic, gospel artist. Nimefurahi kuja hapa.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
So tunataka kutuambia about your music journey since you're an up and coming artist.
Yes.
Utuambie venye kumekuwa, how did you start music?
Yeah, muziki hajakuwa rahisi. Kuna zile pilika za muziki zimeendelea. Lakini najua when you are in the industry of gospel, lazima ukuwe prayerful sana. So vitu hazijakuwa rahisi vile. Nimekuwa nikijituma sana. Lakini ukiwa kwa maombi mara mingi, Mungu fungua milango.
Ukweli.
Ndio.
Sasa tuambie about music yenye umetoa, your latest song.
Yes. Yeah, my latest song is called Anatujali. Yeah, hii ngoma niliandika like 3 years ago.
Wow.
Lakini so kuja kuiproduce last year. Ndio nimefanya video. Tayari ngoma iko YouTube.
Okay.
So hii ngoma Anatujali ni ile like umekaa mtaa, mimi nitoka ghetto, unaona. So unapata like ghetto, life ya ghetto si rahisi vile, unaona. Unafanya kile vitu, unafanya vitu mingi sana. Unaomba like God, nini nafanyika, unaona. Like unaona mabishte wako wana grow ama watu wase fulani wana grow, lakini grow, unaona. Lakini kwa hii ngoma ukisikia vizuri naongelea like Mungu anatujali sisi sote, unaona. It doesn't depend like you are coming from rich place or poor place, unaona. Mungu anatujali sisi sote.
Mungu anatujali.
Yes.
So unataka kuencourage watu wajue God is there, anakujali no matter what you're going through.
Kabisa.
Na umesema ukiandika pia ulikuwa unaangalia hizo challenges, watu wameendelea nini.
Yes.
So inaweza kuwa one of the challenges kama gospel musicians because tumeona many times people start from gospel afu wanaenda secular.
Yes.
So do you think this is one of the challenges ama what are the reasons according to wewe?
Kimimi na tofauti, sababu huwezi jua mbona mtu ametoka kutoka gospel ameenda secular. Sababu mara mingi kuuliza hao artist wanakuelezanga difference ni situation wao wanapitia ground, unaona. Like for me naweza sema like nimeona a lot of musicians wanataka like jina ni kubwa. Lakini huku mfuko ni kidogo. So hao wanakimbilia like in secular, wanaona secular at least kuna do huko zinaingia. Lakini for me I hope that God is the one who provide everything. So it doesn't depend that nikienda same fulani ya huku Yeah, secular or gospel nitakuwa nini hapana. God work kila mahali, unaona. For me God work kila mahali kabisa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kwa hiyo story ya finance na nini, so how are you managing? Kuna vitu zingine unafanya apart from music, ama how do you keep up na being a gospel artist, being that pesa haiko vizuri, how una survive aje?
For me, wakati nilikuwa naanza muziki ilikuwa ngumu sana. Ilifika wakati fulani nilikuwa naenda hadi mjengo. Nilikuwa naenda hadi koroga, naona hii koroga hizi mjengo hizi. Lakini najua hata nikienda kule sikuwa na give up, naona. Like nilikuwa naomba sana, yani Mungu kuna siku tajo kutimiza ndoto zangu, naona. So for me, saa hizi nafanya video, yeye anatujali nimefanya video, there's another video that is coming. Hani ni Mungu, na also there's a good Samaritan who came. See? So that's why unaona vitu zimeanza kuchange by time, naona.
Okay.
Yeah.
So impact gani unataka music yako leave to the people? What impact do you want your music to have?
My music nataka like ngoma zangu mimi like mimi husema nataka ngoma zangu wase wote wanasikiza, like people from the community, because where I'm coming from is a community, and in general we find like we have a lot of communities in Kenya and villages. So ani ngoma zangu zifike kila mtu na zikuwe touching kama hiyo. That's why naongelea story ya mtaa, vitu mingi naongelea vitu zinapeni kwa mtaa.
Okay.
Yes.
So as we close up, tunataka utuambie mali tutakupata social media and everything so that we can support you.
So on Facebook unapatikana kama Msela Classic, Instagram Msela Classic. Yeah, hizo ndio utanipata hapo. So na also na big up kwa fans wangu wote, na producer wangu anaitwa Augustine.
Okay.
Santi.
Sawa. Thank you very much, Msela. Well, now we'll be handing over to Victor, who has some updates for us on the Supreme Court. Victor, to you.
Right, absolutely. And today is the third day and the final day of the Supreme Court. And that is happening there. The issue is BBI. And today, the bench of the Supreme Court is going to have the last sitting day to hear the last part of the submissions from both the applicant and the respondents, and therefore later on they will have to retire. Like pictures there from the Supreme Court, and anytime from now we will go. Yes, happening right now at the Supreme Court. The lovely judges seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, and the Supreme Court for the hearing of petition number 12 of 2021 as consolidated with petitions 11 and 13 of 2021, the Honorable Attorney General and two others versus David D. and others. The Honorable Lady Chief Justice will preside.
Thank you and good morning once more. Yes, we'll start the proceedings from where we left. Counsel for Moholi Moshiri has the floor.
Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, and the Justices of the Supreme Court, my name is Kalabeng Kituku. I appear for the 24th respondent, Muslims for Human Rights, Muhuri. In opposing the appeal, Muhuri has filed grounds of objection dated the 18th of October 2021. We have also filed submissions dated the 21st of December 2021. Bundles of authority dated the same date and a case digest, as well as a supplementary list of authorities dated the 17th of January 2022. I would like first to say that we concur with the submissions made by the first to the fifth respondent and associate ourselves fully with them, as well as the submissions made by the 7th to the 9th respondent in the appeals. Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, the justices of this court. In its petition in the High Court, the 24th respondent specifically challenged the actions of the IBC to receive the BBI draft bill, the supporting signatures therein, as well as the processes of verifying those signatures and certifying that the bill was supported by 1 million registered voters. In violation of the Constitution, and particularly Article 257, 4 and 5 of the Constitution, as well as Article 10, Article 82, and Article 88 of the Constitution. On grounds, number one, that the IBC could not have properly, lawfully, sufficiently, and satisfactorily discharged its mandate under Article 257, 4 and 5 without a valid and lawful legal framework to regulate its activities on those processes. The High Court, in its judgment, found in favor of Muhuri on this ground and issued a declaration that in the absence of a legal framework to govern the processes of collection of signatures and verification of signatures, and IBC could not undertake its mandate satisfactorily. Similarly, on appeal in the Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal upheld this finding of the High Court. The second issue in the Muhuri petition in the High Court was that in the absence of a legal framework, the administrative procedures that IBC and developed for the purposes of the verification of signatures was invalid on two reasons. The first reason being that those procedures were enacted without the requisite quorum, and number two, they were in violation of the Statutory Instruments Act. Again, the High Court upheld Muhuri's submissions on that and found in its favor and issued an order to that effect. The Court of Appeal also agreed with Muhuri and affirmed the High Court findings. Importantly, none of the appellants in this court, not the Attorney General, not the IBC, has appealed against these findings.